Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Today, we're diving into something that affects everyone on our planet, whether you realize it or not. The United Nations General Assembly, or UNGA for short. Now, you may think of the UN as just a bunch of diplomats sitting around talking, but there's so much more happening behind those iconic blue doors. Stick around because I'm about to share some facts that may change your perspective on this vital global institution. Let's get right into it. Fates 1. A shared global thorium. First up, let's talk about representation. The United Nations General Assembly is unique because it's the only place where all 193 member states have equal representation. Yes, you heard that right. Every country has a voice. You might be wondering, how does this work? It operates on the principle of one country, one vote. Whether you're a tiny island nation like Tuvalu with just over 11,000 people, or a global powerhouse like China with 1.4 billion citizens, each member state has the same say in matters that affect our world. It's essentially a democratic forum where countries can voice their concerns, negotiate, and strive for solutions to global issues. This principle of sovereign equality is enshrined in the UN Charter, specifically in Article 2, which states that the organization is based on the principle of the sovereign equality of all its members. This means that in the General Assembly, the voice of the smallest nation carries the same weight as that of the largest. The Assembly's composition reflects the vast diversity of our world, from the oldest civilizations to the youngest nations, from the richest economies to the most challenged ones. The UNGA brings together a tapestry of cultures, political systems, and perspectives. This diversity is not just about geographical representation. It's about ensuring that a multitude of viewpoints are considered when addressing global challenges. Pretty cool, right? It's like a global town hall meeting where everyone gets a chance to speak. Fact 2. UNGA varying. Now here's something interesting. The UN General Assembly meets every year in New York City, typically starting on the third Tuesday of September. It's like a massive international family reunion, where world leaders converge to discuss pressing issues of our time: climate change, human rights, sustainable development, peace and security, and so much more. The general debate, which is the centerpiece of this annual session, usually lasts about 2 weeks. During this time, heads of state and government, as well as high-ranking representatives, deliver speeches outlining their country's perspectives on global issues and their national priorities. But it's not just about the big names. It's also a huge opportunity for smaller countries to shine, to put their issues on the global agenda. For many smaller nations, this might be their only chance to address the entire world community directly. It's a platform where the concerns of a small island state about rising sea levels can gain as much attention as a superpower's stance on nuclear proliferation. And don't forget, guys, this gathering sets the tone for the global discussions that will happen over the coming year. It's not uncommon to see your favorite celebrities and activists there too. They use this platform to advocate for various causes and mobilize support from governments, from Leonardo DiCaprio talking about climate change to Malala Yousafzai advocating for education rights. The UNGA has seen its fair share of star power leveraged for good causes. Beyond the formal sessions, the UNGA period is packed with hundreds of side events, bilateral meetings, and informal discussions. These often lead to new partnerships, initiatives, and commitments that can have real-world impacts. It's like a beehive of global diplomacy, buzzing with activity and potential. Fact 3. Resolutions and decisions. So how much power does the UNGA really have? Well, it's important to clarify that while the General Assembly can pass resolutions, they're not legally binding. Think of it as a moral directive. These resolutions often reflect the international community's stance on various issues, and while they don't have the force of law, they can influence international relations significantly. Let's break this down a bit. The UNGA adopts resolutions on a wide range of topics, from peace and security to economic development and human rights. These resolutions can take different forms. 1. Declarations. These are formal statements expressing the collective view of the UN members on a particular issue. 2. recommendations. These suggest courses of action to member states or the UN Security Council. 3. Conventions. These are international treaties that become legally binding for countries that ratify them. While UNGA resolutions aren't binding, they carry significant moral and political weight. They can shape international norms, influence public opinion, and even lead to the development of international law over time. For instance, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the UNGA in 1948, isn't legally binding, but it has profoundly influenced human rights law worldwide. More recently, resolutions on environmental issues have led to international agreements that shape global policy. The Sustainable Development Goals, adopted in 2015, set a global agenda for addressing poverty, inequality, and climate change. So, while they can't force a country to act, UNGA resolutions can rally nations together and create a powerful consensus. It's like setting the rules of the game for international cooperation.